What if you knew exactly what to do today to achieve your biggest, most audacious goal? And more importantly, how would you work today if you knew exactly how to handle unachieved goals? You are listening to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast, and today we're talking about goals. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Ayla, and for over a decade I've been dedicated to helping entrepreneurs thrive. Welcome to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. Here we focus on personal growth so your business can grow alongside you. Discover how to optimize your business, elevate your mindset, and truly feel and act like a CEO. This is more than just business, it's about transforming your entire entrepreneurial journey. Join me on this path to unlock your fullest potential. For me, setting goals has always been a bit of a problem, and I am still trying to figure out why that is. If it had something to do with the fact that I didn't do any competitive sports while I grew up, or if I was already okay in school, like I was getting good grades, so I didn't really need to set goals to challenge myself to get the grades. I don't know. I just never was much into goal setting. And then I realized that much of the reason that I didn't want to set goals is actually because it felt pointless to me, because I often, if I set a goal, I wouldn't achieve it. And then I would just go, then why the heck did I even set this goal in the first place? I might as well just show up as my best self and then just see where that takes me. I never really put a value on it. For example, saying, I want 100 followers on my Instagram. Because if I set that for the end of October, I always felt this is something somebody else should do. Somebody else hits that follow button. It's out of my control. The same goes for losing weight is in my control, but it's also the female body, hormones, having kids. My youngest is 2. In those first 2 years, I think, your hormones are still shifting so much. It felt out of control for me to say, I want to lose 10 kilos, which is 22 pounds. I could go on a diet, I could go do sports, but it's still, my hormones are something that's out of my control. So I would always attribute it to some external event, make my goals, the achievement of my goals, depend on something external. And therefore, I didn't really see the value of setting goals. Because if you don't achieve your goal, it's something it's pointless to set a goal. It's out of your hands. It never felt right to me until I learned not only how to set proper goals, something I learned a long time ago in school, but also how to handle not achieving goals. And that's really not a big deal at all. That's not the point of setting that. The contradiction for me is learning that not achieving a goal or achieving a goal is absolutely not the point of setting goals. And knowing that blew my mind, blew my whole world wide open, because since then I can set goals and I can really work towards them and know what to do, when to do, why to do, etc. And I think that this is something that many women or entrepreneurs or female entrepreneurs, that they really find themselves in. They either set a goal that's way too big and think, oh, that's outrageous, I'm never gonna make it, so I better keep my goals small. Sorry if you hear weird noises, that's my robot vacuum cleaner emptying itself, because it's an awesome robot. They either have a fear that they're not going to achieve their goals. They are setting small goals because they're afraid of the big goals and then saying, oh, I'll never achieve that. They doubt themselves beforehand. Just going, for me with the 10 kilos, for example, it's a lot. I don't know if I can do it. And then the other side of this is you set a goal and you put a timestamp on it. And then you're halfway through the year that you wanted to lose the 10 kilos. Sorry, it's a goal of mine, so it keeps popping back into my head. Or saying before the end of October, I want 100 followers. And then it's like October 15th and you only have 30 followers. And you're just thinking, I'll never get the 70 that I wanted for my goal at the end of October. You know what? Never mind. Yeah, so there are a lot of reasons why women aren't setting goals, are setting small goals, etc. And that's a shame, because if you're not setting goals, you're just working. You're working without clarity. And maybe not without clarity, but without focus. And working without focus translates into unfocused work. Sorry, but it's true. You're just working to work. And this often results in feeling unfulfilled. You're easily distracted, doom scrolling. I'll always fall back on doom scrolling. You don't know what to do in the time that you have for work because you're just working. You're going to work reactively instead of proactively, depending on your clients to ask you questions, to work for them, create something for them, instead of looking to your own goals and saying, oh, this is what I'm working to, and this is what I'm working on today, because this step is going to get me there. And I talked about competitive sports because for me, I was horseback riding when I grew up, and I did that about 3 or 4 times a week just for fun, always just for fun. I never rode in any competitions. I was just riding my horse because I liked it. And while that was good fun, think about professional athletes wanting to conquer some kind of impossible world record. And even though it's impossible, they do what they need to do to work towards that goal, even if they're so far away right now. For example, my oldest, Juliet, she's 5 years old. She really, she really wants to learn how to do a cartwheel. And she doesn't know what she's doing. She just saw it on TV or on a reel or something. She has no clue what she's doing, but she wants to do a perfect cartwheel. And so she keeps doing these weird little hoppity hops because she thinks that's a cartwheel, but that doesn't matter. She has a goal in her head. And that's a little kid. If you're talking about really professional athletes wanting to break world records, man, they have such a routine and they really are they're working towards something. Even how bad they may be right now, they have this in their mind that they want to achieve that. And so that's what they're doing. So setting goals isn't just something to look forward to. If you set proper goals and you act on them the right way, they give you very actionable steps to take today. And that's, I think, something much needed for busy entrepreneurs. For me, for example, I work in nap time. I work in evening hours. I get up at 6, so I have an hour before everything starts. And that means that I have a lot of those stop, start moments where you're working, but then you hear a clanging noise and some kid is howling. Yeah, you got to stop and you got to give that attention to your kid. And then I go back again. And you probably know what I'm talking about. And without setting goals, I would just go back to my computer and sit there going, oh, okay, what was I doing? Never mind. It's all getting a bit loose. I would have no action to take. But with setting good goals and working towards those goals, that has just changed the way I work completely. I know with clarity what work I need to do on a daily basis. My to-do list is not a to-do list of things that I'm thinking up when I'm sitting down behind my desk in the morning. It's a list that I have ongoing in my system because the steps on it are getting me somewhere. I got better at setting boundaries because I know what works and what doesn't work towards my goals. So if somebody asks me to do extra work for them, or I don't know, we have a lot of social, I'm missing a word in my vocabulary, social things, events, I don't know, social things that are being asked for me. I'm in the parent committee of school, and they are often asking for volunteers to come. And before, if something is happening on a Tuesday afternoon, I would have said, yeah, I can throw my schedule around, I can make time for this. But at the moment, I'm really working towards a certain set of goals that I want to achieve before a certain time. And I know that if I just throw my schedule around to make time for something like that, I won't have time to work on that goal that I was planning to work on. And so it's very easy for me now to say, no, sorry, that doesn't work for me because I need to work. I want to work. So my boundary setting is much better. And then this is on a practical daily base, but on a mid-level, it's giving me much more confidence. It's feeling like I have easier success because I know what steps to take to get me towards that goal. And then on more of a top level, when you set goals and you achieve them, you achieve things that you actually want to achieve, that's amazing. That's such a good feeling. And then you have all the benefits that flow from that. So for example, for me with the 100 followers on Instagram, when I achieved that, I have proven to myself that I can grow on Instagram with a personal brand, that I start to know what I'm doing on that base, because I've never had a personal brand like this before. It's always been much more influencer. And that's easy because you just show yourself all day. And this time it's a bit about me, but the biggest part is that I want to give value to my audience. I want to teach them something, and I know I can help them with their problem. And when I grow my followers on Instagram, that would be a gratification that I am actually giving value and that people see the value in that. And that, even though it's a small, hundreds of followers on Instagram is not massive, but for me, it's a goal. When I achieve that, I'll just go, oh yeah, it's working. And then you get to take that feeling into your next goal. Okay, yeah. Setting goals, achieving goals, working towards goals. And if you're now going, I want to have that feeling too. Now, hang on, I've got it for you. First up, how to set good goals. Then we'll talk about how to handle unachieved goals, which is just as important. And then we're going into your day-to-day life on how to work towards your goals. And then I think you have a good overview. So starting up with how to set good goals. I know you know this. Goals have to be smart goals. They have to be specific, measurable, actionable. I don't know, it's the T. Timeliness? No, I'm missing an R. Oh, hold on. Is it relevant? And then you set a time for it. So specific, 100 followers on Instagram. Yes, that's super specific. Is it measurable? Yes, it's measurable. Is it achievable? Yes, it's achievable. Is it relevant? Yes, for me it's relevant to get my followers on Instagram, because then I can point them towards the podcast. I can eventually point them towards my freebies, get them on a wait list. And then when I start my platform, I will have people on there to actually sell to. So yes, getting 100 followers on Instagram is relevant for my overall goals, for my vision, for where I want to go. And then the timeliness, for that you have to add a date. So that would be the end of October. And as boring as this may sound, I do this for every goal I set. I just do a little checklist for, is my goal smart? And especially the relevant piece is something to think about. Is it achievable? Is also a thinker, because sometimes you want to set a really big, hairy, audacious goal. That would be like, I want to have 3 million in revenue in a year. Is it achievable? Yes. Is it achievable this year? No. So look at the timestamp you put on it and then maybe shift that around a bit, because otherwise you're going to work towards a goal that you feel beforehand that you've already filled it. So yeah, sure, it's awesome to want to earn 1 million, 3 million a year, but if it's not really achievable or not realistic that you'll achieve it this year, then just throw the timelines around a bit, because it is achievable in the end. Anything you want is achievable. You just got to work towards it on a logical base. So if the timestamp isn't logical, adjust that. Okay, cool. Now you've set a SMART goal. Congratulations. And then you're going to work towards that goal. For me, I work in Notion. I have an awesome system in Notion where I have my yearly goals. I cut those up into sub-goals, and I cut the sub-goals up into actionable tasks. All this in a pretty overview, clickable. You can hand over tasks to either yourself or someone else in your organization, or outsourced or anything like that. It's amazing. And I'm gonna give it away as a freebie. So if you want to have it as well, follow the link in the show notes, and then you can get this awesome template for Notion as well. It's really helping me because, cut it up. If you want to make $1 million in revenue a year, how are you going to do that? What are the subtasks that are necessary to do that? And then cut them up. Because you're working in tiny increments of time. Maybe you're not. Many of us are. If I want to achieve my 100 followers for Instagram at the end of October, then I could just write that down as goal. And then every day I would go onto Instagram going, oh, okay, I need to get my followers. What am I going to post today? Or you can say, when I want to grow on Instagram, I need to focus on creating a personal brand, and I want to give value, I want to give tips, but I also want to show something about me. Okay, so I'm going to create a content calendar in which I can pre-create my posts, write them out, and then hang a label on them so I can see what I'm doing, if I'm not overdoing it on the personal stuff, or if I'm being unpersonable by just posting business tips, etc., etc. Sorry, my throat's a bit... That's because I was just power cleaning the house for an hour. My husband was in the Netherlands, and the girls, I just let them run loose. So I wanted to clean the house up before he got home. And of course, I did that by putting on a playlist with 90s bangers, and I sang along at the top of my voice. So now I'm just all sung out. I'm just going... Yeah, so that's why I sound like I have a frog in my throat. It's because of the 90s bangers. Oh, shoot, I just totally lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Yeah, okay, cutting your tasks up into actionable tasks. That was I was saying. And I now see in my notes that I'm skipping ahead. But that's fine. We have already handled that part of what I wanted to say then. You hang a timeline on it and you decide what you are going to outsource as well. For me, it's editing my podcast. I can do it. I work in Descript and it's a super easy program. But I'm still trying to get my perfectionist tendencies in check. And I just know that when I edit my own podcast, I will listen to it 5 times. Because I just keep going back and I listen again and blah, 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 blah. And that's just unnecessary to do. So I've outsourced that to my VA, who follows a standard operating procedure to make it sound the way I like for it to sound. And then when she's finished, I go back into Descript and I listen to it one more time, but on double the speed. So it doesn't take me that much time. This is something you can really you can put it into listen and you know exactly what to do and when to do it, because she will signal when she's done, and then you can plan in when to go back into it, schedule your podcast, etc. And this is all working towards a bigger goal of wanting to publish 20 podcasts before the year is out. And that's how you do it. For me, one of the biggest blocks along the way of achieving goals, of setting goals and working towards them, is the part of how to handle unachieved goals. As I said, I want to lose 10 kilos, and I've wanted to lose those for about 5 years now. But then I got pregnant again, we moved to France, things weren't easy, so it wasn't top of mind, but it is top of mind now. So far, my weight is not budging at all, even though I'm working really hard towards achieving the goal. And that's very unmotivating. So I'm just gonna keep this in mind. The way to handle unachieved goals is to check with yourself oops. Hold on, it's my bread that's finished. Doing a million things at the same time, as per usual. I'm gonna take my bread out of the oven really quickly. Okay, bread is saved. Oh, the suspense. No. How do you handle unachieved goals? The question is very simple. How did you show up for that goal? If I am not achieving my goal of getting my 100 Instagram followers, then that's fine, as long as I showed up as somebody who has at least 100 followers. Did I show up on Instagram? Did I show myself? Did I offer value? Did I engage with others? If that's a checklist and all I can say is, yes, I did that. Yes, I did that. Good. Keep going. You just adjust the timeline a bit. If you didn't achieve it yet, doesn't mean you're never going to achieve it. You showed up as somebody who is going to achieve the goal. You did all you could. Perfect. Keep going. Be detached from the outcome of getting your goals. If you didn't show up in the way that you wanted to, you got to reflect on that. You got to correct that. And then you keep going. So if I am not losing my 10 kilos and I also ate a bar of chocolate and a bunch of cookies each day, then I can just say, okay, maybe I didn't show up as somebody who has a weight of X. I can correct that behavior, and then I keep going and I keep working towards that goal. And when I learned this, for me, that was the fact that blew it right open. I was like, oh, so if I don't achieve my goal, that doesn't mean I'm a total failure and I will never make it. I just need to keep going and maybe correct my behavior here and there, and I'm good. It's the whole detachment thing is just amazeballs. So yeah, in the freebie that I just mentioned, the template for Notion for the goals, there's a monthly planner in there. And in that monthly planner, you're not only talking about what are you going to do this month, what are the tasks, etc. There's also a bit in there that's going to have you reflect on the past month. Each month, new month, you're going to reflect on how you showed up the month before. And if you keep that going, if you keep looking at yourself, keep saying, okay, where can I be better? How did I show up? Then eventually you're going to achieve all the freaking goals you want. As when it comes to working towards your goal, one of the things that helped me a lot is keeping in mind discipline, not willpower. Discipline, but not willpower. Because it seems like I'm hosting a podcast about losing weight, which I'm not. So I'll keep it on the podcast, posting 20 podcasts a year. This year, not a year. If I let it come down to willpower, making time, that's more of a mindset of I need to publish 20 podcasts this year, and therefore this week I need to record one and I have to make time for it. And you hear it in the words that I use. I need to, I have to, blah, 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 blah. But when you're talking about discipline, you're saying, okay, I want to achieve this goal. I want to publish 20 podcasts this year, which is why I'm scheduling time to record one each week. And that's discipline, because each week on a Monday morning, you go back to recording that podcast. This goes for everything, for showing up online, for publishing a weekly newsletter. You have the discipline to do it each week. And then it will not depend on how you're feeling, on your cycle, on if it's a lunar eclipse or if your kid is sick. That doesn't matter, because it's not depending on the willpower that you're showing. It's depending on your discipline. The Power of Habits. Great book. If you haven't read it, you really should. That's really what it comes down to. In the book, The Power of Habits, he states one rule that he states more, of course, but the one rule that I'm really trying to keep to is, if you have a routine for something, say you want to post online 4 times a week on Instagram, don't miss more than 2 times. And this goes for every routine, every discipline that you have. Don't miss more than 2 times, because that will just mess up your discipline, and then it comes back to willpower again. And when it comes back to willpower, you're basically, is what it comes down to. Because one day you'll have the willpower of a 10 horses and the next day of a lazy house cat. That's just how it goes. And that's nothing to be ashamed of or feel bad about. That's just the way our bodies work, our minds work, and that's fine. Lazy house cat mode activated. But if you have the discipline, you can still perform working towards your goals, because it's a routine, it's discipline. So basically, that's that. As I said, the last thing I wanted to talk about is having a good system in place. But I think I already covered that bit by talking about setting the yearly goals and dividing them, and then hang a timeline on it, decide what to outsource. I hope I don't need to repeat that for you, class, because your teacher has taught already. So I want to say, go get that freebie. Click on the link in the show notes, get yourself a freebie, and go on to setting those goals. And now there is something I want to add, actually, because let me think about how I will say this. Setting goals can be a really dry practice. 100 Instagram followers, 10 kilos, 20 podcasts. Also dare to dream. because eventually you're gonna work towards that. If you want to make 3 million a year, you got to write that down somewhere. It's a crossover, it's a gray area between a goal and a vision when you're going to that. But a vision is more of what you want to leave behind in the world, and a goal is more of for you personal. And to set your yearly goals, it's really nice and handy to have multiple year goals in mind. And those I don't really set as SMART goals, but I really set those as a moment in time. And I think the best way to do this is a journaling practice, writing a letter to yourself, writing about a day in your life at a certain moment in time, what your life looks like, etc. So say 5 years from now, I want to be an entrepreneur who has a 50,000 members in her membership, have 25,000 women in group coaching. I want to make 3 million a year. How do I show up? How do I become that person who has those goals? How am I that person today? So if I want to be that person in 5 years' time, how am I gonna handle myself today to be her? And that's where the be, do, have principle comes into place, because a lot of people go around it the other way around. When I have 50,000 members, I will show up as. But then you're always struggling against, first I gotta have those members and then I can be her. But if you throw it around and say, okay, in 5 years I wanna have a 50,000 members, then I'm gonna show up as that person today. And that attitude is what you take into your goal setting, and then you eventually water it down and you take that attitude into your daily to-do list. And that's amazing, because that will get you places. You have this bigger vision in mind. You have an overall vision for your company. You have an overall vision for what you want your life to look like. And then you're going to water it down. What's going to look like in 10 years, in 5 years, in 3 years. How am I going to set my yearly goals, my monthly goals, my daily tasks, etc. And before you know it, you have this complete picture, and you sit down at your desk in the morning and you just go, okay, I want to be there. So this is what I'm going to do today. I only need to look at my list, because this list is really thought through and will get me places. All right, that's it. Now I'm officially done. Get yourself the freebie. Get yourself the attitude, write yourself a letter for where you want to be in 5 years, and you will conquer the world, as they say. All right, I bid you adieu and a very nice day. See you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. I hope you loved what you heard today. And if you did, it would mean a world to me if you could leave a review. Because believe it or not, reviews on podcasts are actually still used to make sure more people get to see this podcast in their screens and maybe click on it and learn something as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.